I will be withdrawing off the case. No implications of me withdrawing off the case. I still think it's a great case. I think there's a lot of holes in it. I think the government has a lot of explaining to do on the case. But I will be,
you know, the lawyer defense. You know, he might be wanting to go with another defense, and then the lawyer might have just told him, like, look, some lawyers gonna keep it real with you. Like,
I think Bradford Cohen has represented Gucci in the past, and he represents a lot of celebrities. So that was the initial reporting from
Pooh
the
Shiesty
bigger
broke, but not in the way people expected. At the exact moment his future is hanging in the balance, his legal defense just took a sudden and unexpected hit. One of the most recognizable attorneys tied to his case has officially stepped away, leaving a gap at the worst possible time.
I think it's one of those cases where once you start really screwing down on the information, the facts, I think that a lot's going to be coming out that will be beneficial to the defense. I think they're going to do a great job.
This isn't just any case either. We're talking about a federal situation tied to serious allegations involving Gucci Mane claims that have already sent shockwaves through the industry. And with the possibility of life in prison on the table, every single move matters now more than ever. What makes this even more intense is the timing. Right as pressure builds inside the courtroom, the strategy behind the scenes is shifting. New lawyers, new dynamics, and a case that's only getting more complicated by the day.
Gucci Mane just made sure that Pooh Shiesty isn't coming home anytime soon.
So what really led to this sudden change? And why does it feel like the situation is only getting louder, not quieter? Pooh Shiesty, born Lontrell Williams Jr., is no longer just dealing with headlines. He's now at the center of a full federal indictment that's raising the stakes to a completely different level.
The feds update is even worse than I thought. First off, Pooh Shiesty is the dumbest human being on earth. You don't get much stupider than Pooh Shiesty.
In April 2026, prosecutors hit him with kidnapping and conspiracy charges, turning what was already a serious situation into something far more intense. At the heart of the case are allegations of a coordinated incident at a Dallas recording studio. According to prosecutors, this wasn't random or chaotic. They claim it was planned, a targeted move involving multiple individuals, all working together in what's being described as a takeover. And the reason behind it? Investigators say the goal was to pressure Gucci Mane into releasing Shiesty from his deal with 13-7
Complaint alleges that on January 10th of this year, 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for a scheduled business meeting. As alleged, once these 3 men were inside the recording studio, Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover.
If true, that turns this from a business dispute into a federal-level criminal case with major consequences. What makes it even more complex is who's allegedly involved. This isn't a solo situation, authorities say several people were part of it, including close associates and even his own father. That kind of overlap between personal and legal ties adds another layer of tension to an already serious case, and the stakes couldn't be higher. With the charges he's facing, Pooh Shiesty is potentially looking at life in prison if convicted. That reality alone changes everything. How the case is handled, how decisions are made, and how every move is scrutinized.
Anytime soon. The next time we see Pooh Shiesty will be 50 years old.
But just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get more serious, his legal team changed. Right in the middle of all this, a major shift happened behind the scenes. Attorney Bradford Cohen, a well-known figure in high-profile cases, officially withdrew from representing Pooh Shiesty in this federal matter. The announcement didn't come through a dramatic courtroom moment, it was shared publicly, almost casually. But make no mistake, the impact was anything but small. When a lead attorney steps away during a case this serious, people notice. What's interesting is how Cohen addressed it. He was quick to shut down any immediate assumptions, saying there were no negative implications tied to his decision.
All right, let's talk Pooh Shiesty. Quick update on Pooh Shiesty's case. I am just leaving Tennessee, actually, on a different federal case. But I will be withdrawing off the case. No implications of me withdrawing off the case. I still think it's a great case.
Doubled down on confidence, stating that Shiesty still has a strong case, and even suggesting that there are weaknesses in the government's arguments. According to him, there are holes that could work in the defense's favor. Details that, if fully examined, might shift how the case is viewed. He even expressed confidence in the attorneys stepping in to take over, making it clear he believes the fight.
Drawing up the case, I still think it's a great case. I think there's a lot of holes in it. I think the government has a lot of explaining to do on the case, but I will be...
Things get complicated. Despite the reassurance, Cohen didn't explain exactly why he chose to step away. And in situations like this, that silence naturally leads to questions. There are plenty of routine reasons attorneys withdraw from cases: strategic disagreements, conflicts of interest, or even breakdowns in communication. That's not unusual in high-stakes federal cases. Still, without a clear explanation, it leaves room for speculation, especially in a case already under heavy public attention.
Conflict of interest. You know, the lawyer defense, you know, he might be wanting to go with another defense, and then the lawyer might have just told him, like, look, some lawyers gonna keep it real with you, like.
And even though Cohen sounded confident on the way out, the timing raised eyebrows. With Bradford Cohen stepping away, the focus immediately shifts to what happens next, and that's where things get complicated. A new legal team is now stepping in, but this isn't the kind of case you casually walk into. Federal cases move differently. They're layered, detailed, and built over months of evidence, filings, and strategy. That means these incoming attorneys have to get up to speed fast. Every document, every allegation, every prior motion at all has to be reviewed and understood in a short
case.
window.
But I will be substituting in will be Dan Codrell, who's a fantastic lawyer, and Kent Schaefer, who's also a fantastic lawyer, both from Dallas. I think they're going to do a phenomenal job on the case. I think
When time is limited, even small delays can carry serious consequences. There's also the question of continuity. When a legal team changes mid-case, strategies can shift. What one attorney planned to argue might not be the same direction the next one takes. That doesn't automatically mean things fall apart, but it does introduce uncertainty at a moment where stability matters most. And this case was already complex before any changes happened. Multiple defendants, overlapping accusations, and federal-level charges tied to conspiracy. It's the kind of situation where every detail connects to something bigger. One misstep doesn't just affect one person, it can ripple across the entire case. Meanwhile, Pooh Shiesty remains behind bars after being denied bond, meaning every legal decision is happening while he's still in custody. That alone adds another layer of pressure, both legally and mentally, as the case continues to build around him. And while the courtroom situation is already intense, outside the courtroom things are getting even more chaotic. One of the biggest developments comes from Kadarius K.D. Waters, a name that keeps surfacing as the case unfolds. At one point, it looked like he might actually walk free, at least temporarily. A magistrate judge ruled that he could be released on a personal recognizance bond while waiting for trial. But that moment didn't last long. Prosecutors moved quickly, stepping in almost immediately to appeal the decision and block his release. Just like that, the situation flipped. Instead of walking out, Waters remained in custody as the legal battle over his status continued. The government made its position clear. They argued that Waters should stay detained due to the seriousness of the alleged conduct, pointing to his criminal history and what they described as a potential danger to the community. In cases like this, those arguments carry weight, especially when tied to violent allegations. And according to prosecutors, Waters isn't just loosely connected. He's being described as Pooh Shiesty's right-hand man, someone they believe played a central role in what allegedly happened. The accusations are serious. Authorities claim he was involved in a robbery and kidnapping scenario where victims were threatened at gunpoint inside a Dallas studio.
Kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas.
It's the kind of allegation that immediately raises the stakes for everyone involved. But what really caught attention was what happened after the hearing. Despite being in custody, Waters appeared to stay active online, posting messages that quickly spread across social media. That alone added another layer to the story, pulling public attention even deeper into what's happening behind the scenes. And just when it seemed like his situation was the main focus, it became clear he's not the only one trying to get out. Another major name tied to the case is rapper Big 30, and he's now fighting his own legal battle within the bigger picture. After initially being granted bond, prosecutors stepped in again, appealing the decision and keeping him locked up for now. But Big 30 isn't backing down. His legal team is actively pushing for his release, and their argument takes a very different tone from what prosecutors are claiming. According to his attorneys, the government is exaggerating his role in the situation. They argue that he's being painted as a central figure, when, in their view, the actual evidence tells a different story. they point to specific details, claiming that what's not disputed, like retrieving a bag or filming during the incident, doesn't prove he orchestrated or escalated anything. In other words, they're trying to separate presence from leadership.
And as it relates to Big 30, we really view the facts very differently than the government. It's not our belief that Big 30 drove to Dallas to meet with Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty to commit a robbery and a kidnapping.
His defense also leans heavily on his background. No prior felony convictions, deep roots in Memphis, and strong personal ties to the community. On top of that, they highlight a major factor: his career. With a significant record deal on the table, they argue he has every reason to stay compliant and show up in court. But prosecutors see it differently. From their perspective, the seriousness of the allegations alone justifies keeping him detained. They've also suggested that the same career opportunities being used as a defense could actually create a motive to flee if things start going south. It's a clear back and forth, with both sides presenting completely different interpretations of the same situation. And as the judge weighs those arguments, Big 30's immediate future hangs in the balance. But just when it seems like the case couldn't get more layered, it takes an even deeper turn involving family. Just when the situation seemed like it couldn't get any more complicated, it took a deeply personal turn. Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontro Williams Sr., is now also caught up in the same federal case, facing charges tied to the very allegations surrounding the Dallas studio incident. At one point, there was a chance he could have been released. A judge initially granted him bond, setting conditions that could have allowed him to fight the case from outside custody. But that window didn't stay open for long. Prosecutors stepped in and appealed the decision, putting everything on hold. As it stands, he remains detained while the court reconsiders whether he should be released at all. It's the same pattern seen with other co-defendants: brief momentum, followed by immediate pushback. His legal team is pushing hard in response. They argue that the government hasn't provided clear and convincing evidence to justify keeping him locked up. From their perspective, there's not enough to prove that he poses a real danger or that detention is necessary before trial. But zoom out for a second, and the bigger picture becomes clear. This is no longer just a case about one artist. It now stretches across family ties, close associates, and industry relationships, all pulled into a single, high-stakes legal battle. And when cases reach this level, outside voices start to get louder. Online discussions, commentary, and speculation begin to fill in the gaps where official details are limited. There's already chatter circulating about possible cooperation scenarios, though nothing has been confirmed. Still, that kind of talk alone is enough to keep attention locked in. Meanwhile, the drama isn't staying contained inside legal documents and courtrooms, it's spilling out into the public in real time. As the legal battle intensifies, the reaction outside the courtroom has taken on a life of its own. One moment in particular grabbed attention: Gucci Mane stepping back onto the stage during a UFL halftime performance. What should have been a routine appearance quickly turned into something else entirely. Clips started circulating online showing members of the crowd shouting "Rat," and within hours, those moments went viral. Whether it reflects the full crowd or just a small group, the impact was immediate. Social media ran with it, turning a live performance into another chapter in an already heated narrative. And that's where things start to spiral. Once the internet gets involved, the story doesn't just stay factual, it becomes layered with opinions, interpretations, and constant speculation. Every clip, every post, every reaction adds fuel. Then came more commentary from figures already known for speaking on industry drama. Whack 100 stepped into the conversation, making claims that quickly spread across platforms. None of it officially confirmed, but in a case like this, even unverified statements can shift how people view what's happening. At this point, the case isn't just a legal matter. It's become one of the most talked about situations in hip-hop. Every update, no matter how small, gets amplified. And while all of this plays out publicly, one thing is happening quietly in the background.
He was a soldier with no direction, had a warrior mentality.
Pooh Shiesty's career has essentially been put on pause. The momentum he once had is now replaced by uncertainty, with everything depending on how this case unfolds. And with so many moving parts still in motion, the final outcome feels more unpredictable than ever. Despite stepping away, Bradford Cohen made one thing clear: he doesn't believe the fight is over. In fact, he expressed confidence that the attorneys taking over the case are more than capable of handling what comes next. He also hinted at something important. According to him, once the details are fully examined, once everything is really broken down, there could be information that works in the defense's favor. In his words, there are still key facts that haven't fully come to light. That kind of statement leaves the door open for a shift. Because in federal cases, it often comes down to the details: what can be proven, what can be challenged, and what holds up under pressure. But at the same time, the reality can't be ignored. This is a federal case involving multiple defendants, serious allegations, and potential life-altering consequences. Those aren't easy conditions to navigate, no matter how strong a defense might be. No, every argument will be tested, every claim examined, and every decision scrutinized. There's also the issue of time. With a new legal team stepping in, adjustments are inevitable. That could mean delays, new filings, or even changes in overall strategy. And in a case this complex, even small shifts can have major ripple effects. Looking ahead, the outcome of this situation won't just determine legal consequences. It could reshape Pooh Shiesty's entire future. His career, his reputation, and his place in the industry all hang in the balance. Not long ago, Pooh Shiesty was one of the fastest rising names in hip-hop. Now, he's facing a situation that could change everything. A federal case with serious charges, a legal team adjustment at a critical moment, multiple people involved, each fighting their own battle within the same storm. And the story isn't slowing down. If anything, it's evolving week by week, with new developments keeping everyone watching closely. The only real question now is how it all ends. Will the truth shift in his favor, or is this just the beginning of something much bigger? Let us know your thoughts in comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, show some love, hit that like button, subscribe to our both channels for all the latest, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. Catch you in the next one. Peace!